All right, ladies and gents, this is just going to be like an honorable mention of different types of plants, depending on the water or depending on the temperature or how hot it is, the environment, right? Because we know that there's some really dry areas, really hot areas, and then colder areas or wetter areas. So there's three types of plants. We call this three plants. The C3 plants are the ones we've been studying thus so far. Okay, whatever I told you about the Calvin cycle has to do with C3 plants. And why are they called C3 plants? Because they produce a three carbon molecule called PGA. Okay, this is a PGA molecule that is produced. Now, this might sound a little unfamiliar to you, but if I go to my previous slide, which we talked about early on, this is PGA, 3-phosphoglycerate. And you know that this is going to be 1, 2, 3 carbons. Okay, so that has to do with C3 plants. Um, what kind of plants are C3 plants? Yeah, the soybeans, the wheat, oats, and rice. Right. Well, there's other plants called C4 plants, and the C4 plants are going to close their stomata to save water during hot and dry weathers. Okay, and remember I talked about, and that's why I kind of made this reference when I was talking about the leaf. Remember, I told you the stoma and the stoma, the stoma, the stomata, their pores, their openings where carbon dioxide goes in, oxygen goes out, but also water leaves, right? So what do you want to do if you are a plant and you are in a very hot environment? Well, you don't want to lose water, right? You don't want to lose water. So in order to not lose water, you close your stoma. Seems like a pretty easy rationale, right? But then think about it. If you close the stoma, there's no stoma available. If there's no pore, yeah, you don't lose water. Plants don't lose water, but can they get carbon dioxide inside? The answer is no. Okay, so C4 plants is an adaptation to this kind of environments, to really hot weathers. So they close their stomata to save water during hot and dry weather, but they can still carry out photosynthesis. How do they do that? Well, they have two types of cells, two different types, two different types of cells. Or they use the two different types of cells. Okay, they have, for example, the mesophyll. It's a mesophyll cell. And what happens here is this. Actually, carbon dioxide fixation occurs in the mesophyll cell. And eventually you make a 4-carbon sugar. So carbon fixation occurs because carbon dioxide is added to a 3-carbon sugar. And remember, carbon fixation is the addition of carbon dioxide into a organic molecule, in this case PEP, and you make something called oxazolate, which is going to be a 4-carbon sugar. That's why it's called C4 plants, okay? Because you have a 4 sugar. And eventually it turns into malate. Well, malate is going to be a sugar, is going to diffuse, as you can see here, into another type of cell called the bundle sheath cell. Okay, so this is going to be the first type of cell, second type of cell. What happens in the bundle sheath? Malate, okay, which is a 4-carbon sugar, is then going to release that carbon dioxide and give it to the Calvin cycle here. Now carbon dioxide is going to be added to RUBP. Now again, this is just an adaptation, ladies and gents. Again, I'm not, I just giving you for context. I just wanted to give you a little more of diversity in terms of different types of plants, depending on the weathers they live in. Okay, this is very similar. What's happening here? We're using two different types of plant cells just because, or cells, just because we need to be able to use carbon dioxide, but because we close the stomata during certain times, we need to have like a storage of carbon dioxide. We need to have an additional amount of carbon dioxide. So this keeps this whole process of C4 plants is able to keep enough carbon dioxide. Okay, we're transporting, pretty much what's happening here is we're transporting carbon dioxide into the bundle sheath, making carbon dioxide available here so it can go through the Calvin cycle. Okay, so we can go through the Calvin cycle. So we're just transporting carbon dioxide. Okay, now we have all types of plants called that can go through something called that are called CAM plants, or they're called CAM for cruciolation. I think that's how you say it. These are adapted to very, very, very dry climates, very dry climates. For example, your pineapples. And these are going to have another adaptation. What is the adaptation? They're going to open their stomata only at night to conserve water, and they close it during the morning. So what happens in these canned plants over here is they're only using one type of cell, the mesophyll cell, okay? And at night, when the stomata is open, carbon dioxide goes in, okay? It's converted into a 4-sugar, okay? Into a 4-sugar molecule or 4-carbon molecule, okay? And then this is gonna go inside. Okay, so actually, carbon dioxide here is added to pyruvate, okay, and then converted into malate, and then malate is able to come inside sorry, malate is going to be actually stored to be stored in the vacuole, okay, and then in the mornings when the stomata are closed, now we have stored a lot of malate, a lot of reservoir carbon dioxide. Now carbon dioxide can during the morning can be released from malate, okay, and carbon dioxide is now used to be able to be added to the carbon cycle. So technically, what happens here is a division of labor, right? Some things happen during the night. Okay, during the night when the stomata is open, you get all this carbon dioxide in, and then you store it. You store it in the form of malate in the central vacuum. And then when it's morning, we have to close the stomata because it's really hot. You don't want to lose water. Plants don't want to lose water. So, but now we have a bunch of storage, a bunch of this stored. If you have a bunch of malate stored in the vacuum, and it's going to be able to, in the morning, release one of the carbons as carbon dioxide, and then carbon dioxide is able to proceed during the mornings, even though the stomata is closed, but because we had a bunch of these saved, stored, that we're able to run, plants are able to run through the Calvin cycle because there's carbon dioxide available. Okay, and all of them are going to lead. All of these different plants are going to lead to the production of glucose or other organic molecules.